Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Bree Talks Books. I'm Bree, and you already know I'm here to talk about books, so let's go. In today's video, I'm going to be hauling all the books I purchased this summer by Black authors. Because not only do Black lives matter, our voices and our stories matter. If I'm going to be basic and contribute to consumerism and be completely unoriginal by creating a book haul as my first booktube video, the least I can do is promote Black authors in the process. Hopefully, this video will help you be inspired to pick up some more diverse novels as well in all different genres, because I'm featuring a little bit of everything. I have over 20 books to talk about, so with that being said, let's get started. Let's begin with the books that I have already read. So first up, we have Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is a YA contemporary novel written in verse. It's about two sisters. One lives in the Dominican Republic and the other lives in New York City. They are not aware at the beginning of the story that they're sisters. Their father has been living a double life, and the truth comes out after he dies in a plane crash. So trigger warning for parental death as well as assault. Earlier this year, I read The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo, so I could not wait to pick this one up, and it did not disappoint. The next book I have to discuss is Queenie by Candace Carty Williams. This story is an adult contemporary following Queenie, a 20-something who works for a magazine or news company, and she, at the very beginning of the book, is on a break with her boyfriend. The story explores mental health as well as microaggressions and different struggles that many Black women face in the dating world, but also just in life in general, as she has problematic other people in her life as well. I will say that this is very difficult to read, especially in the beginning, but by the end of the novel, it's worth it in my opinion. Trigger warnings, however, for sexual violence in this, as well as mental health. The next book I have to discuss is Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D Jackson. This is a YA thriller featuring our main character Claudia, who is in 8th grade and is dealing with the fact that her best friend Monday has gone missing. No one seems to notice, or if they do notice, they don't seem to care that she's missing, and Claudia's just trying to figure out what happened to her best friend. There are also trigger warnings for this, but I don't want to go into them in case of spoilers. So if that is something that is concerning for you, make sure to look those up before you pick this one up, but I also recommend it. Next, I picked up 4 books by N.K. Jemisin. N.K. Jemisin has become one of my favorite authors this year, and I've only read 1 book by her. I began reading the Broken Earth trilogy, beginning with the 5th season back in March, and I absolutely loved it. It's a multi-perspective sci-fi fantasy dystopian world, and the magic system is based on like seismic energy, so like people can create earthquakes and different things like that. The people that have the magic are viewed as less than, and we're following multiple different perspectives, so we get to see like a school setting and different characters on their journey throughout this world. They all have different motivations and different things like that, but I highly recommend. So of course, I had to pick up the next 2 in the trilogy. So we have the Obelisk Gate and the Stone Sky by N.K. Jemisin. So I cannot wait to read these, because the way the first book ends, I'm confused. I want to know what happens. Yeah, just read it. One of the perspectives is in second person, but you get used to it, I promise. So just bear with it for the beginning while you're confused. It's worth it. I also picked up the 100,000 Kingdoms. This is another trilogy, I believe, and I have no idea what this is about. It's N.K. Jemisin though, so I got it. And the last book by N.K. Jemisin is The City We Became. And what I know about this is that all the characters are based on the different boroughs in New York, and I've heard a lot of really good things on BookTube about it, so I wanted to check it out. The 2 nonfiction books I picked up recently are Hood Feminism by Mickey Kendall, and also Stamped the Remix, Racism, Anti-Racism, and You by Jason Reynolds and Ibram X. Kendi. Honestly, I don't read a whole lot of nonfiction books, but this book I saw an interview on Trevor Noah and was intrigued by it. Also, I have read a few of Jason Reynolds' other novels and I am a big fan. Friends keep recommending this book to me, so I gotta read it. And then Hood Feminism. This is a book that explores feminism when you're not a white cisgendered woman and how those stories often get forgotten. So I thought this would be a really interesting perspective and probably be relatable and very informative. So I wanted to pick this up as well. Next, let's get into the books that I got from Book of the Month. I'm not an affiliate or anything like that, so I don't have a link for you or nothing. But here's some of the books that I picked out recently. So first we have Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. And I've actually already started reading this. I only have about 100 pages left and I can say it is really good. This is an adult not fantasy, wow. This is an adult romance novel and it follows Chloe Brown, who deals with a chronic illness and therefore has chronic pain, and she's on a quest to get a life. She basically makes a bucket list in order to make this happen. The first thing on her list is to move out of her parents' house, and that's when she meets her superintendent, Red. And this is a kind of enemies to lovers. There's lots of good representation in here, especially for mental health. And so far anyway, it's just really cute. Also, emphasis on adult. There's smut in this book. Next, I got On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. I read The Hate U Give last year and I really loved that book. This is a YA novel and the main character's name is also Bree, so that's cool. And I know that it takes place, she lives in the same neighborhood as the characters in The Hate U Give, so it deals with some similar content, but she's trying to make it as a rapper, and I've just also heard some really good things about this, so I was like, okay, I need to pick this up. This came out a while ago. I need to know what's up, so I guess we'll find out. I also picked up The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. This is a literary fiction, kind of historical fiction, I believe. It's multi-generational. So it follows two sisters who live in a community where they're white passing. And essentially, one sister grows up and lives their life as a black woman, and the other lives their life in secret as a white woman, and her white husband is unaware of her background. Also heard really good things about this, so I find the premise of this story really interesting, and I wanted to check it out to see how they explore these difficult topics. The last Book of the Month book that I picked up was The Stars and the Blackness Between Them by Donata Petrus. This is a YA contemporary. It also has LGBTQIA plus rep. Oh, so do, I don't think I mentioned, Clap When You Land, and the Broken Earth trilogy does also. So my bad for not stating that. Honestly, I don't know much about this book. I hear that it's pretty sad, so I'm ready to be in my feels and see what this book has to offer. Next we have A Phoenix First Must Burn, and this is a short story collection edited by Patrice Caldwell, and it features several big name authors such as Elizabeth Acevedo, and yes, that's why I picked the book up and why I'm anticipating it so much, but also it has multiple science fiction and fantasy-esque stories in it by multiple black women, so very excited to read this. And now for the next book that I know very little about, Pet by Awaki Emezi. On the front it says, "Pet is here to hunt a monster. Are you brave enough to look?" So I was intrigued to pick this up to see what it's about. Honestly, I don't want to give away too much because the book is that big, so I feel like any other information is just going to be a spoiler. Next, I picked up Black Girl Unlimited by Echo Brown. Now, I started reading this and then for some reason, I think a readathon was happening or something, so I put it down, but I need to pick this back up because I only got like 20 pages in or something like that. This story is also YA, young adult. I'm not sure if it's fantasy or magical realism, but it says that she's a wizard on the front. I also hear that this one's sad, also has trigger warnings, so make sure to look those up. I'm not far enough in to really speak on those, but it's a coming of age story about this young black girl. Continuing with the trend of books that I'm very excited to read but don't know a whole lot about, we have White Teeth by Zadie Smith and If Beale Street Could Talk by James Baldwin. Both of these were recommended to me by friends, and I know that they're both literary fiction and they're black, so I picked them up. I didn't need anything else. The next two books are both West African inspired YA fantasy novels. Akata Witch, and this is by Nnedi Okorafor. Like I said, it's West African inspired. The main character is albino and it's fantasy, so I want to read it. I also picked up A Song of Wraiths and Ruin, and this is by Roseanne A. Brown. It's a debut novel. It was one of my most anticipated books, and what I know about this book, oh, this is another one that I've already started but then put down like a month ago and have to pick back up. Anyway, just being fully transparent. This is a dual perspective story. It follows two teens. Karina, she's the heir to the throne, and Malik is a peasant who has gotten himself entered into a competition to save his sister. So there's like this big festival for Solstasia, and the winner of the competition gets to marry the heir to the throne. But things happen, and essentially these two main characters are out to kill each other for very valid reasons, but their feelings for each other just might get in the way. So very excited to continue reading this later on. And the last book I picked up is Dreadnation by Justina Ireland. I know that the second book for this either came out earlier this year or at the end of last year or something. There's already another book out, so I need to get to reading this. This I know is a YA like fantasy horror novel, and it takes place during like Civil War era, and there are zombies. So very intrigued to see what is up with this novel as well. All right, everybody, those are all the books that I have. Thank you for watching. I will catch you in the next one. Bye.